Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I was up late last night dealing with 8-year-old baseball, and we learned that it's not okay to have 2 games in a row for 8-year-olds because they just get too worn out, and once they're tired, it's a disaster. Once I was tired, I was a disaster too. I was ready to come home. But baseball season is, we're getting close to being over, but not quite there yet. I'm about ready for it to be over. I'm kind of worn out. My coaching days are over after this. I don't want to coach. I just want to focus on working with my sons and making them better. I'm not really a coach, but I'm always asked to coach because my kids have gotten so good from all the practice I've done with them that people always want you to coach so that your kid can be secured on their team. That's kind of how it works. I'm hoping this is my last time though. All right. I've been getting a lot of questions on Twitter about whether or not I was invited to Swell, and I thought I'd covered this the other day, but some people didn't, I guess missed it or whatever. Yes, I am invited to Swell. I got the invitation from David Schwartz, actually, via Twitter. He invited me, and this is what they're sending out once you register, the you're in type thing. And, but I'm also, David Schwartz also asked me if I would be on a panel, and it's not a panel. I don't think it's a panel. It's going to be like a discussion, but I don't think it's going to be anything that is, being recorded or shown at Swell. I think it's just, a little meeting to, talk about things and see what's going on or whatever, informative type meeting, I guess. I don't really know, but, I am going to participate in that as well. So I'm really appreciative to Ripple, and I'm really excited about that. And I think it'll be cool and an eye opener. Okay. And I actually went into the thing, and I, of course, would never talk about anything that you're not supposed to talk about, but I have seen some interesting things about as far as, some of the things that looks like some of the people that are going to attend. But anyway, all right, moving along. So that is my invitation. Now, yesterday, I think I may have kind of broken what Chris Larson had said, or been one of the people that broke it. I had tweeted this out yesterday. Chris Larson just said Ripple's thinking of relocating due to lack of regulatory clarity in the United States. And then Michael Arrington retweeted my tweet, which I was flattered that Michael Arrington would think enough of my tweet to do that. He says, good for Ripple. Lack of clarity in crypto is a disaster for the U.S. Now, you must know, I met Michael Arrington and Brad Garlinghouse at Swell in Singapore, and Michael Arrington is Brad Garlinghouse's best friend. At least that's the way I understand it. So then Brad Garlinghouse comes in and retweets Michael Arrington's tweet of my tweet. Retweets Michael Arrington's retweet of my tweet. How about, I think I said it right. And he says, strongest internet companies built in the U.S. in part because of regulatory clarity. We have that opportunity with blockchain and digital assets. Responsible players like Ripple aren't looking to avoid rules. We just want to operate in a jurisdiction where the rules are clear. Hashtag DCEA of 2020. I think there's an act that's being looked at right now called the Digital Commodities Something Act. I can't remember the full thing. I'm going to look further into that, but I saw somebody say something about that and I forgot to pull it up. But let's keep going. So Ripple's basically threatening to leave the United States. And I'll give you my thoughts on that here in a second. But XRP Crypto Wolf, a lot of people went in and summarized kind of what was going on, and I want to make sure everybody saw what we saw or heard. Ripple co-founder Chris Larson says the SEC was trying to crush blockchain and crypto. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse said responsible players like Ripple aren't looking to avoid rules. We just want to operate in a jurisdiction where the rules are clear. So apparently, Chris Larson says they're at odds with the SEC. Then you got this, XRP Crypto Wolf, U.S. Comptroller of the Currency, Brian Brooks, says the U.S. is in dire need of clear rules for crypto. He wants to help provide regulatory clarity about cryptocurrencies. Brian Brooks wants to resolve ambiguities about how banks handle cryptocurrency. Then we've got this from XRP Crypto Wolf. Ripple is looking to move to more favorable crypto regulatory jurisdictions, such as London, Switzerland, Singapore, and Japan. The whole tenor continues to be one of frustration that we don't have more clarity and we don't have more of a pro-U.S. approach. Okay? You ever feel like all the world's a stage, folks? XRP Crypto Wolf, U.S. Comptroller of the Currency, Brian Brooks says the future of cryptocurrency will be decided by the people and the markets, but not the government. Brian Brooks said the government is great at setting up regulatory frameworks, but not building products. All right? And here's a couple of little video clips. I showed the whole video yesterday, but I just wanted to highlight a couple more clips. This one's from Chris Larson from Real XRP Boy.
When it comes to central bank digital currencies, we think there's a place for both the central bank digital currencies and the decentralized digital currencies. They're different things, right? The beauty of decentralized digital currencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, for example, is they move value with just pure economics, right? They're policy free. They don't bring the political elements along with the value. Whereas a central bank digital currency, and I'm not criticizing this, it's just saying this is just an absolute truth. It moves value and policy and politics along the way. So it becomes very difficult to kind of integrate two CBDCs together with not just the economics, which is simple and policy free, but it's the political elements that become kind of more challenging. So whether that be in China, where you're going to have maybe social credit scores, capital controls, all completely, that's great. That's their rules. How is that going to mesh with other things? So you need a decentralized digital currency as kind of that, interpreter between those. And we think that's a great role and why these decentralized digital currencies are going to be so important in the digitized global economy that we're all in and that will only increasingly become so.
Yes, that bridge is awfully important. Now, look at this one. This is from Brian Brooks, and this is, I meant to pull this like this. This is from the Cryptic Poet, and this is a Brian Brooks clip from yesterday.
Right? The government is really, really good at establishing rules and conducting supervision. We're great at that. Government has no history at all of building products that innovate or that offer people good choices. And so why would we think that that would be different in constructing a payments instrument? I just don't think that's the right role. So we're trying to go out with frameworks. We're excited that there are tech companies coming out with tokens. Let's marry those two things up. Our frameworks, their tokens. And then I think we can catch up to the rest of the world, which is way beyond us on this issue at the moment.
So are you saying that other countries are ahead of the US right now in terms of regulation?
Well, I mean, look, China issued an e-renminbi that is now circulating, and they issued it last week. Our government says that we're 4 years away at a minimum from issuing a test version of a U.S. central bank digital currency. So I don't think that's a matter of opinion. Even going further than that, the EU put out a draft stablecoin framework document about 2 weeks ago. We're working on that right now with our other agency partners, and I think we'll speak to that relatively shortly. But still, the EU is out in front of us. We are supposed to be the global financial leader, or at least we have been for the last 50 years. And I want to make sure that we retain status even as other countries are looking to catch up. That requires that we move faster.
All right, so we're behind all of the digital currency wars that went on in 2019 at Harvard. They just they haven't had a plan whatsoever. You can believe that if you want to. Yoshitaka Katal tweeted this: Ripple's mission in action. Ripple, RippleNet, RippleX, Ripple Swell, Ripple Impact. So he's on the board of Ripple, for those of you that don't know. So Ripple's mission in action. You can see it. If you want to see some things in action, just look around for the last week at what we're seeing. I mean, it's almost like a plan has been completely set in motion and initiated. Okay. Stewart XRP sent me this. Our story, this is Ripple. Ripple has redone some of their website and added some things, including letting you know that Ripple has over 500 employees, 9 offices, and they've had 3-time year-over-year customer growth. That's big. Michael at VAL5 Link says Japanese financial giant and Ripple partner SBI is set to launch an unlisted securities fund with a Swiss crypto bank named Sygnum. That's a tough word to say. And we'll look to target both European. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here. I'm taking my foot out of my shoe. I've got shoes that I wore last night during the baseball game. With that, I don't have socks on. They're just like slip-on shoes. And I had rocks in them from last night, and I had a rock in it. I was trying to get it out while I'm doing this. So anyway. And we'll look to target both European and Asian investors. And then Michelle Vandenberg sent this about this. Syngum official and SBI Group are creating a joint venture to invest in digital asset startups focused on startups providing enterprise solutions or financial market infrastructure. Now, I was going to mention about this bank. As I recall, this is like the first bank out of Switzerland to hold digital assets, including XRP, because I've looked on their website. But these guys are one of the first like digital asset banks. And I'm showing you this guy, Roland Schwinn, because I met him at Swell. I've actually got his card. I was looking at his card the other day because I was going through some of the stuff I was cleaning my office, and I was going through some of the stuff that I'd gotten from Swell in Singapore, and I had Roland Schwinn's card. He's the head of business development partnerships. Now, he's out of Singapore. If you look at their team, they've got a Singapore branch, and I think they're based out of Switzerland, as I recall. All right. So if you're thinking about opening a Sygnum bank account, give Roland, and Singapore is an area where you are, Roland Schwinn might be a guy to give a call. Now, I showed you this. This happened to me yesterday. I showed you this about a week ago. Okay, this Jackson Mueller. I was talking about how this Securrency that he works for, it was working with the Digital Chamber of Commerce to put this event together, and I was showing you the cast of characters. Now, against the backdrop of what we just talked about and what Chris Larson said yesterday, and kind of what the theme was, which was that here's Ripple. Everybody's they've been working with all the regulators since 2013 at least, and everybody has been working with them, and everything's been going good. But there's this one agency and this one guy, I'm assuming, Jay Clayton, who they just can't get on board with them. Everybody else seems to be cool with it, and everybody else seems to be, in one way or another, connected to Ripple. And I'll show you this in a second. But not Jay Clayton. Now, he shows up at all the events right beside all this same cast of characters, but they just can't get him on board. I've always found this is odd. Now, so this Securrency, all of a sudden, and by the way, there's Georgetown Law, who is also, Georgetown Law seems to be where they all go to have these events. And Chris Brummer is the guy who is one of the professors that all of them are seen talking to. And I'll show you that here in a second. He's like a Georgetown professor. But anyway, so here's your cast of characters. Up pops this Securrency. And as I tell you on this channel all the time, all of this is connected. And as I say that, Stellar just happens to pop up. But all of this is connected. All these people are connected. They're all in the same club. So here, let's look back at Securrency, because what I was showing you was that how Securrency's executives, these guys are, and I'll make the sound effect that I told you that my grandfather used to make when he's talking about Count Dracula. He used to make this sound effect from the old Count Dracula movies whenever we were talking about something that was a spooky topic or something you stay away from. Well, or in this case, organizations. But these guys, when I started looking through the executives at Securrency, my grandfather's sound effect came to mind, and it goes something like this. I did that bad. And that was the diabolical, evil Count Dracula sound effect. I'm not on my game today on that. I tried my best. But Dan Doney, who's the CEO of Securrency, if you look at his resume, technical, let's see, Chief Innovations Officer, Defense Intelligence Agency. You go down IARPA, which sounds like something, technical advisor, intelligence advanced research projects activity, submarine. He's from the U.S. Navy. And then there was this guy also, John Hensel, who's also with Securrency, Naval Air Systems Command, PMA, industrial capabilities, VT2 commanding officer, senior military assistant to director, PMA, Naval Air Systems Command. And then there was another guy that was like running a nuclear submarine or something like that. Why am I talking about these guys again? Reason is because Michelle Bond tweeted this yesterday. And while I was looking at this tweet, I ran across her name up here and she wasn't like showing that she works at Ripple. So I went to her LinkedIn page just to check and see if she was still with Ripple. And when I did, what did I see? She happens to be a board advisor at Securrency. Everything's connected. All these people are connected. They're all in the same club, folks. I don't know how many times I have to say it. Now, let's go back to this idea. Ripple's going to leave the country because they just can't get the SEC and Jay Clayton there. Those guys just won't cooperate. Well, here's what we know. If you've watched this channel for the last 2 or 3 years, we've shown these are just some. These are just the ones that I came up with off the top of my head. I can show you Ripple connections that go to the White House, Treasury Department, Federal Reserve, IMF, OCC, Congress, World Economic Forum, World Bank, CFTC. But then you got this outlier, the SEC, this one organization that just cannot see the light with Ripple. Everybody else can see the light, but these guys, they can call Bitcoin and Ethereum a commodity, and it's no problem. They just figured that out real quick, but they cannot get their mind around Ripple or XRP. They just can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this video with just some pictures that just, this goes back to the Kid Rock thing, folks. He's got a line out of one of his songs. He says, "I was born at night, but not last night, baby." Well, that goes for the digital asset investor. I'll have to check with my mom to find out exactly when I was born. I don't remember. But I was born at night, but not last night, baby. I'm just going to assume that I was born at night. Okay? So here we have Jay Clayton sitting beside the former CFTC chairman, who now runs the Digital Dollar Project. Chris Giancarlo, he also is with a law firm, Wilkie Barr, who represents Ripple. But these guys just can't see eye to eye. This is one picture of them. I guess they just don't agree on this whole Ripple XRP thing. Here they are together again, but they just don't agree on this Ripple XRP thing. We can't get these SEC guys. They just can't get their mind around it. And then here's Jay Clayton with Glenn Hutchins, and he's also this was one of the economic advisors to, was it Obama or Clinton or one of them or both or Trump? I think it was all three maybe. Gary, is his name Gary Cohn, I think. Anyway, but this guy's more or less from the White House. This guy's New York Federal Reserve. Glenn Hutchins also on the board at the Digital Currency Group, which is a owner in Ripple and has an advisor, Larry Summers, right, at the Digital Currency Group. And they're talking to him. And I'm telling you, when we watch this video, the alpha in the room is Glenn Hutchins, and you can just hear it in the tones. It's almost like he's taking Jay Clayton to school. But the whole thing, but anyway, bottom line is, so they're all on the same stage, but they just can't make this guy figured out. He just can't get it. And here too, just can't seem to figure this out, right? And then there was this. Then at FinTech Week, there's Chris Brummer, the Georgetown law professor, and he's talking to Jay Clayton. And I believe Jay Clayton even got a question from the audience about XRP, and he was hemming and hawing, and he just can't get his mind around this. And just by pure coincidence, I guess, Brad Garlinghouse is sitting beside the same guy in front of the same sign, FinTech Week 2019. And here they are, Jay Clayton, Brad Garlinghouse. These guys, there's Heath Tarbert from the CFTC, and all indications are that he gets it. They all seem to get it. But the SEC they just can't get these guys on board. They just can't seem to get them on board. And then there's Jay Clayton from the Economic Club of New York. And if you don't, this is my favorite, folks. The Economic Club of New York, this is where presidents go to lay out future policy. I mean, this is like, you don't get in this place. I mean, they wouldn't let a guy like me in that club, okay? Never. Maybe unless they thought I could give them something or get them some exposure of some sort. But I don't think you'll ever see the digital asset investor entering the hallowed halls of the Economic Club of New York, although it would be fun. And I'm sure they have a great lunch. But Jay Clayton goes there, and guess who else goes there? Brad Garlinghouse goes there, okay? And what this reminds me of is, so Brad Garlinghouse can get into the Economic Club of New York to speak, just like he can get in the middle of the central bankers in Switzerland. But this Jay, and the central bankers of Switzerland, everybody seems to get it, but not the SEC. They just can't seem to get it. So I just out of curiosity, I was on the Economic Club of New York's website. This is I'm going to take you on a little ride here. This is a very interesting when you start to go and look at who the players are. And remember, all the world's a stage. Look at, as you scroll here, these are the recent speakers. And these are the most powerful people in the world, folks, or at least in the United States, mostly. But no, actually, I say world. There's Larry Kudlow. He's the assistant to the president for economic policy. Ray Dalio, who runs Bridgewater Associates. We've shown you a lot of his clips. But as you go down through here, you'll recognize a lot of names, folks. A lot of names, all right? David Solomon, look, he's the CEO of Goldman Sachs. Secretary of State, U.S. Department of State, Mike Pompeo. Hey, look, there's Kristalina Georgieva, who runs the IMF. There's Lawrence Summers, and he is an advisor to the Digital Currency Group. Who else do we have? Let's keep going. And as we go through here, you'll see more and more characters in this play. There's Robert Lighthizer. Not too long ago, we saw I see these names and I just remember things. Not too long ago, we saw a guy, and I don't remember his name, but he was in a virtual conference call. It was him and Brad Garlinghouse being interviewed, and it was a guy who worked for some kind of trade commission for the United States or something, and his boss was Robert Lighthizer. This guy was like, and the guy now works at King and Spalding. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he worked for Lighthizer in doing trade deals with China. Okay, as we go down, Stanley Druckenmiller, there's Larry Summers again. Let's keep going down. You're going to see some names. This guy right here was president and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That's where Glenn Hutchins is now. Look, there's the CEO of Google or Alphabet. And as we go down, let's keep going down. You're going to see some more. Oh, there's Heath Tarbert from the CFTC. Let's go to the next page and see who else we see. These are all people that spoke. Oh, there's Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, right? And as we go down, there's Michael Dell, who started Dell Computer. President Donald Trump spoke there. And then Brad Garlinghouse, of course, a guy from a startup of 7 years in Silicon Valley. Now, look, are you noticing a pattern here? Everybody in this cast of characters that I'm showing you, everybody, they're government officials, they're CEOs of BlackRocks and CEOs. I saw the CEO of Uber, but people who have already made it a long time ago, right? But then you have this one guy, Brad Garlinghouse, right? smack dab in the middle of all of them. Anna Boaton, executive chairman of Banco Santander. And then we talked about this guy the other day, David Malpass. He's the guy that was on the BrettonWoods.org website, and he's the president of the World Bank Group. He's the guy who was at Bear Stearns when the financial crisis of 2008 happened. Later appointed to be the World Bank or nominated to be the World Bank president by Donald Trump. And who do we have here? Jay Clayton, the SEC chairman. There's former director of, I don't talk about those organizations, Brian Moynihan, Bank of America CEO. As we go down, anybody else interesting? Oh, President and CEO of MasterCard, President and CEO of Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. Now, folks, in order for me to really complete this picture, I have to play you a video that I've played before on this channel. If this video does not play, or if you don't see it in my video, it's because it had a copyright thing and I couldn't show it. If it does play, and if it doesn't play, I want you to go to the Economic Club of New York website because it will make a difference. It's econclubny.org. Here's the video. Watch the whole thing. You're going to see people that you recognize. It's worth the 6 minutes of your life. When we see people that we recognize, I'll say it. There's Dwight Eisenhower.
On our strength and growth
JFK.
depends the strength of others, the spread of free world trade and unity, and continued confidence in our leadership and our currency.
Ronald Reagan. Gerald Ford. We know him, Henry Kissinger. Remember, Henry Kissinger, by the way, gold standard, or when they took us off the gold standard in the 70s, he was working for Jimmy Carter, I believe. Oh, there's Christine Lagarde. Seen anybody that we've seen on this channel for the last 2 years yet? Oh, there's Janet Yellen. Hello, Jeff Bezos. Alan Greenspan.
When you look around the world,
pay close
you look
attention
at
now.
governments and businesses successfully
2019.
collaborate.
The economy is in a very good shape. The outlook has uncertainties. We have to be flexible. We have to be data dependent, and again, focus really on just trying to keep this economy on the track that it currently is.
Spending the money you make is corporate social responsibility. Changing the way you make money is operating with purpose.
Money still talks. Whenever we have these discussions on diversity with the entities in portfolio, people listen. When we team up with other investors, people listen.
There's Glenn Hutchins. Do you recognize Raghuram Rajan? That guy right there was at Swell 2019 in Singapore, Ripple. I saw him. I watched Brad Combs ask him a question.
This idea that somehow a few people can decide what the rest of society should be allowed to do or not, even if it's currently legal, I find that an interesting conundrum.
A lot of Federal Reserve chairmen showing
I
up
look
there.
at Bitcoin as a solution in search of a problem. I don't understand why we need this thing. And the great thing they're out there talking about is a stable cryptocurrency. Well, to me, that's called the dollar.
In the end, this is how we tame capitalism, as Bonham mentioned. This is how we deal with the fallout, that Warren Buffett mentioned. And this is how capitalists make progress, as Mike Bloomberg mentioned. The genius of the end, the genius of capitalism. That's the best way forward. Thank you.
We have real questions in the United States about the role of the world, in the world of the United States. Should we continue to lead?
25 years ago, the public markets dominated the private markets in virtually every measure. Today, by many measures, the private markets outpace our public markets, including in aggregate size.
We were usually there 2.5, 3 hours. And what we talked about is how can we construct something that was different than everyone else was doing.
It's been a challenging year for us, without a doubt. And as I said earlier, we've learned a lot through this experience. We've been humbled as a company, but it's also given us perspective on what we need to do going forward.
Digital wallet is a hugely important change in consumer behavior. So this year, you're going to have 2 billion people on the planet, 2 billion people with a digital wallet. And I don't think people realize what that means. I mean, it means that it's always on you and it's always on.
There's Brad Garlinghouse.
$112 billion of shareholder value are lost every year. And by the way, in this room, normally I have to explain what is $112 billion. You guys actually know what $112 billion is. So $112 billion of shareholder value gets lost every year because we picked the wrong CEOs.
American markets have vastly outpaced the rest of the world.
If you look at the U.S. economic system, as imperfect as it may be, it's hard to find one that's a lot better.
Okay, that video, I've seen it 2 or 3 times, but it is well worth watching, and I recommend you pass that around because look, and this is kind of, that video to me kind of encapsulates why we chose Ripple and XRP from the beginning. It's because this is how the world really works, is the powerful will always be the powerful. It's not, you're not gonna, like that guy said in there, that Druckenmiller guy, he said he didn't understand Bitcoin, and they're not gonna, Bitcoin is not going to replace our financial system. It's not going to happen. Now for giggles, I decided that I would go to Unstoppable on my Unstoppable domains and see if jclayton.crypto was available, and it is. And I did not buy it. So anybody out there, if you think that sounds like I just thought it'd be fun to see if it was available. And jclayton.crypto is available. You can go in the description of all my videos, and there's a link to Unstoppable domains. If you haven't gotten, or if you have any ideas for cool domains that you might want to have, .crypto domains or .zil. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button. And tell your friends and family that I still have an igloo for sale in South Georgia. Thank you for listening.
Every day, billions of people around the world are mocked, ridiculed, laughed at, and embarrassed by their friends, family, and even strangers. These people go through their days knowing there are secrets being kept from them. They hear the faint whispers behind closed doors. The information and knowledge is held very close and only shared with others who were fortunate enough to find out. Feeling lost, rejected, and ostracized, these people give up, never finding out what digital assets the digital asset investor holds. But there is hope. Join the free Digital Asset Investor email newsletter and find out what digital assets he owns each month, including investments he's considering. Click the link in the description of this video or go to digitalassetinvestornewsletter.com. Put an end to your days of gloom and depression. Join the greatest free digital asset email newsletter ever created.